Okay, so for today's tutorial, I'm using my Sentro 48 needle machine. It is currently the only machine that I have in my possession, but if anyone wants to send me another machine to test, I would absolutely love that, or any yarns or anything. Please, please, please don't hesitate to reach out. I would love to try out different machines and also test different yarns and give reviews on them. So yeah, reach out if you're interested in that. But for today, we've got our Sentro, and then we've got just 2 thrift yarns that I used for my previous whale that I will be showing a picture of in a minute. And yes, hopefully this, I think I'm gonna make it a bigger whale, because the one that I made was a very mini whale. So hopefully this one will turn out a decent size. I'm thinking probably about 5 or 6 inches long and maybe like 3 or 4 inches wide, but we'll see what happens. So without further ado, let's get started. So first of all, I'm just going to crank my machine until I get to my white needle. So let's see here. I always like to start with my white one. There we go. So first row, I'm just casting on. I'm going back and forth with my stitches. It's kind of hard for me to hold the camera and stitch it at the same time. Hopefully soon I will get a tripod or something. There are many tutorials online on how to cast on, and leave me a comment down below if you would like me to make my own tutorial on how to cast on. But it's really quite simple. I just took my first stitch, I held my yarn, and I cranked until it got caught. So I just have this tail here, and then I just went back and forth. So the yarn was under the first stitch, so I put it on the outside of the next stitch, and so on and so forth. So on this next stitch that's coming up, I'm going to end up putting it inside and then outside the next one, and I'm just going to keep doing that all the way around for the first row. And I'm doing it kind of slowly because you want to make sure you do this row right, because if you do it wrong, all the other rows will be wrong. I have learned it the hard way, trust me. So I'm also just testing this yarn to see how well it will stitch and how tight the stitches will be and all that. A good rule of thumb, I just like to kind of look once I've casted on my yarn and see if each one of these spaces is the exact same length, and that's how I know that I cast it on correctly. If I look all the way around and all of my stitches are have this amount of space. So because it looks like all of them are equally spaced, I know that I cast it on correctly, and I am good to move on to round 2. And literally all you're gonna do is, once you get to your last stitch, so right before my white one that I just had, I'm gonna put it underneath of that right there, and then I'm probably not gonna use the tension guide. I don't really like to use the tension guide. I like to just hold the yarn because I can regulate the tension myself, and I have my row count set at 0, so I will be counting the rows as I go, and I will let you know once I find out how many rows I am going to do for this, and I will put it in the video at the beginning so you guys know. But for right now, I don't know. So for the second row, I'm just going to crank really slowly to try and make sure that all of my stitches are coming and that they're not falling off, because if that happens, if you get drop stitches, there is a way to fix that, but it's just a hassle. So I'm going to try really hard to not get any of those, and if I do, I will show you how I handle that. So here we go. The other thing I wanted to mention, especially for all you beginners out there, is that for the second row, it will be 1 stitch yes, 1 stitch no. So as you can see, this one did not pick up and this one did. So Just don't get confused with that and a drop stitch, because the second row is always going to be like that no matter what you're making. I kept thinking that I was dropping stitches every single time I was making something, and I kept having to redo it, and then I realized that that's just normal. So there you go. Okay, so far so good. The yarn is going on really nicely, and I think this is going to work really well, so I'm just going to use this for the top and then use the white that I have here. Hopefully the white will also work out as well as this one is for the belly. So whoa guys, no way, I actually found a way to hang my phone up on one of my brother's toy bins, so I know you can't really see my face. Hey, I just wanted to show the machine and show how my rows are going. So I kind of have to hold my machine with my thumb. I don't know if that's a normal thing. Let me make sure I get it in the camera here. But yeah. Also, does anyone have a yarn unraveler system? Because I have to unravel my yarn every few minutes, and it's not the greatest thing. It's not the greatest thing. I would much rather not have to do that. So if anybody has any suggestions on how to make that a little bit smoother, see, now I have to unravel it again. It would just be really nice if I didn't have to unravel it. So, or at least not as much. So yeah, this is fun. I love just being able to just do this. So I actually have a little bit of arthritis slash oh, get a knot. So what I'm gonna do is try to pull it out. Let's see here, gotta be really careful. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Love when that happens. Okay. So yeah, just make sure that doesn't drop if that ever happens. Yeah, we're gonna keep going. So anyways, I have a little bit of arthritis slash carpal tunnel. So I was really sad because I thought I was going to have to stop crocheting and knitting and all the things. And I was just really sad about it, and then I saw that there was such thing as this knitting machine. Well, I actually didn't see it. I actually first had the thought, I wonder if there's a machine out there, because this is something I'm really passionate about. I don't want to have to stop just because my hands hurt so much to have to do it, right? So I looked it up online, and I was like, oh, there's a knitting machine, but I don't know, I considered getting it for a while, and I thought, oh, it's too expensive. What if I don't use it? What if it doesn't work to make amigurumi, and what if I can't figure out how to use it? Then it'll just be a waste of money. So for the long time, I never invested in one, and then for the longest time I would just think about it and never do it, and then finally I was just like, you know what? So I actually got mine off of Temu for $30, and which was a really great deal. I saved a lot of money because they can be pretty expensive. They can be from upwards of $60 to $100, and even more than that. So especially for these bigger ones, I know they make smaller ones. I would like to get my hands on several different sizes eventually, but right now we've got this. So yeah, this is looking really pretty actually. I like how this is turning out so far. We're on row 17, and we've got another knot. Okay, so here's an update. I was thinking about doing a color change halfway through once I get, the main top part of the wheel done, but I will show you here. The stitches they're not as tight as I would like them to be, and I know when it stretches out that all the polyfill or all the stuffing is going to show through. So I think what I'm going to actually do is make the top, cast it off, and then kind of make it into a beanie shape, and then leave the bottom open and make the white separately, and then just make it into a beanie shape, and then just sew both parts. together. So that's what I'm thinking I'm going to do. And that way too, I can kind of shape it a little bit more like an oval and not so much like a pumpkin or like a circle, because I feel like usually it turns out like kind of like more like a pumpkin like shape. So that way I'd be able to make it a little bit more to a different like an oval shape. But yeah, so I think that's what I'm gonna do. So that way I can make lots of rows as well, and then I want to make it into a beanie because then I can make it a double layer, and that way the polyfill won't really show, because I want to show you what the stitches look like here in a second. So see, they're looking really good, but there's a lot of space, and I just know the polyfill is going to show right through that. So I think if I have another layer, I think that's going to work a lot better. See, you can't really see anything through it now, but there's another layer. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do what I just said, and I will meet you back, and I'll make sure to update you on how many rows I end up doing. I think, as far as I know right now, probably going to end up doing maybe 60 or 70 is my guess. We're at 49, about 50 rows, and I just wanted to give an update. Look how pretty! I love it. It's gonna be so cute. I cannot wait. Okay, so it looks like unfortunately we have some drop stitches, so let me go ahead and fix that real quick. Alright, I'm gonna try to video from this angle and see if this works to show you guys how to fix drop stitches. I almost fixed all of mine. So basically you take your last stitch that fell off, so see that little loop right here, there's a little loop. I don't know if you can see it. I don't want to untangle my drop stitch I just did, but I guess if I do that, that's okay, because I can just redo it. But anyways, I would put my hook into that. So now we have that. And then, let's see, and then I'm going to put my hook, so I dropped that, and so I'm just holding on to that loop with my hand so that I can grab this piece of yarn that's in front, that's loose, and then put it back through that loop. So now we've got that piece that was loose, and then we have the loop, and then you put that piece that was loose, it's gonna go over top. So place it so that it is first instead of second. And this is the crochet hook method. I know there's a needle method, but first instead of second, and I'm framing my yarn a little bit, and then pull through. So I'm holding the second one now. Pull it through like that. And there we go. We fixed our drop stitches. Well, almost. Now I have to do it with this last one here somehow. So voila! Now all of my drop stitches are fixed, so I can continue working. And welcome to the next day. It is officially 12:18. So anyways, I have officially done 70 rows. So yeah, it's definitely touching the floor, and look at all that beautiful fabric. So I think I'm going to go ahead and stop, because I think that'll be pretty good for the size I want my head to be when I fold it in half. But yeah, so that's basically, so I'm going to go ahead and cast off, and for that I'm just going to, so I left off at my white needle. I'm going to go ahead and cut the yarn, so I'm going to wrap it around twice to measure enough yarn to cast off. Wrap it around twice around the machine, and then I will show you what I'm going to do from there. Okay, so to cast off, it's super easy. You literally just, I'm just going to take the yarn that I just cut, put it in the middle. So you can see here I've got my white stitch that I just left off on, and I'm going to actually just take it out of the feeder and just put it right there, so that way we'll have one row of no yarn going through the feeder to get those last stitches off. But we want to make sure we don't go past this white needle on this last row, so make sure you be very careful, because otherwise your stitches are going to start falling off, and casting off and pulling everything together is going to be kind of difficult. So I think I'm going to use my large needle for this. This machine comes with 3 needles. I lost the medium-sized one, so I only have the large and the small, so I'm going to use the large one for this project. Okay, so I'm officially back at my white yarn needle, and now I'm going to go ahead and cast off. So I'm going to switch hands here. Get my foot out of the way. Okay, so we have our needle, and oh, it looks like one of the stitches already dropped off. See, because I went a little bit too far, but that's okay because I see it right there. So I'm going to pick it up. So I picked it up, and now I'm just going to keep casting off. So I'm literally just going to put my needle through each stitch to pick it up. Oh, if we can, let's see here. So I'm just going to do these 3 first. Oh, okay, never mind. I'm just going to do these 2. Pull the yarn through. Eventually, once this project starts coming off the machine, you can do lots of them at the same time. Okay, so here is my beautiful piece that I just casted off of the machine. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out here. It looks very, very nice. So I'm just pulling the top like a drawstring to close it off, and then I'm going to fold it. Okay, so a huge mess and a whole day later, and here is the top of the head. So I basically just folded it into the amount that I wanted, and then I just stuffed it, and then I have the bottom right here, so I'm going to stuff it, and then I'm going to fold it in the same way, put stuffing in it, and then pop it on top for the, well, technically it's going to be the bottom, but it's going to be the belly. So yep, I'm very excited for how this is going to turn out. I'm going to put the safety eyes in right now. I don't know exactly what rows I'm going to put them in. I think I'm just going to, okay, so I went ahead and placed my safety eyes about 12 stitches apart from each other. I just chose the best looking side and then put them in the same row, and I chose this stripe kind of as my guide. If you're not using or if you don't have a stripe to go off of, if your yarn doesn't make stripes, if it's just one solid color, it might be a little bit tougher to tell, but the nice thing is you can kind of just fold in the sides to make it even however you need to, so that's the nice thing about this. Okay, time to test out the white yarn. Okay, so now I'm just taking the tail and I am sewing the belly on. So I folded it in a little bit more, and it's only 60 rows for the belly, so that way I could just kind of make it whatever size I wanted, but obviously it's going to be a little bit less than the head, so I'm going to go ahead and stitch that on. I also sandwiched a little bit more stuffing in between. I'm kind of holding it right now. I don't really have any pins, but I'm sure you could use pins. I'm just a little bit too excited to finish this, so I think I'm just going to try to hold it and sew it on the best that I can. So yeah. For sewing, I've just been going in one stitch and then going in through the side of a stitch from this, and then just pulling through, and then doing it again. So going in the side of this stitch, going in the side of this stitch up here to connect them, and just keep going all the way around until you completely close up your piece. Okay, so here it is. I'm officially done stitching. my whale friend's body, and yeah, so that's how it turned out with the stomach and the head, and I actually really love it. I think it's super cute. And one thing I will say is that the seam I did have to stretch out, so you just don't want to pull too hard because it will try to come together like a drawstring. So all you have to do is just pull it out before you cut it. Just pull at it a little bit and it'll round out the shape. And then the nice thing about these knitting projects is you can kind of make them whatever shape you want. So this is a bit more rounder shape. If I wanted it to be more of an oval shape going this way, I could have put more stuffing in the front and the back, but I actually like this shape, so I went ahead and just left it like this. And yep, so this is how it turned out, and I actually really love it. It's so cute and soft. So yeah, so now I'm just gonna have to make the fins and the tail. So keep watching if you're interested in seeing how to make those. So here we go. I, after 3 attempts, successfully made the right size fin for the side fins. So now I'm going to show you how I did it. As you can see, I went ahead and casted on 8 stitches, and I'm going to go back and forth for 12 rows before casting off. This is what it looks like before casting off. So then I'm just taking this after I cast it off, pulling it like a drawstring at the top. That's going to be the top of your fin. And then I'm going to turn it around to this open side and fold it about 3/4 of the way up. And then I'm going to sew this edge. It's kind of hard to show, but I'm going to sew this edge right here, about right there. And that's what's going to give me that shape. So, yep. So I'm just going ahead, putting the needle through this open space here at the top, just so I can close it off. Like that. And then I'm just gonna fold it and sew it. So I'm just taking the end first, going through half of that stitch. Hope you can see that. Half of that stitch, pulling it through there. This is what it should look like after 20 rows. And now I'm going to go ahead and cast off. Go ahead and just drop my tail in the middle. Please excuse the mess. I'm a very messy crafter. Okay, and then do my last row without any yarn being fed through. Okay, so I just finished one piece of the tail after 2 attempts of trying to make the right size, and I will show you how I made it. And there we go. Here is the piece for the tail, the second piece for the tail. We have the 2 pieces, and I'm going to go ahead and sew them on. So on the body, I'm going to cut all these tails off, but on the body it's going to go like this, kind of, or like that. That's what it's gonna look like. So yeah, that's for that. And then if you wanted to, you could sew these together and make another 2 if you wanted to make 2 layers, and you could do that the same thing with the other fins if you wanted to make 2 more and then sew them together to close off the layer. But because I'm just making it for myself, I don't really care so much about that, so I'm just going to leave them like this. And after sewing it all together, here is the final product. I think it turned out pretty good. Let me know down in the comments below if this was helpful and if you want to see more tutorials like this one. Also, make sure to like and subscribe. Thank you so much, guys, for watching, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Happy crafting!